All right, let's get started. Hi, Katy. Good evening, everybody. Tonight we're meeting with Katy Lynch, and I want to talk with Katy, or Katy's going to talk more than I am, about social media. And, you know, this is Facebook and beyond, and, you know, how you can use it and whether you should use it, etc. But, you know, like I do with so many of our guests, you know, and I don't know that Katy and I have ever met, so I'm curious about some things. So, Katy, you're in Chicago, right?
Yep.
But you weren't raised here.
I wasn't. I was raised in Edinburgh, Scotland, but I moved to Chicago around 6 years ago.
And your accent's totally disappeared, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you still use English idioms like brilliant.
Yeah, I'm stubborn.
Fabulous. And why did you move to the U.S.?
Yeah, so initially I moved here because of my dad's job. But then I went back to the UK for a little while. I went to the University of Manchester in England and did my degree in English and American Studies. And then I moved back to the States and took a really cool position as a community manager for Facebook's largest travel application. So that's really how I got my start with social media.
Awesome. All right. So I'm going to turn the whole thing over to you now. That's the little stuff I wanted to know. Welcome to this Klein-Artist-Works session. Take it away.
Yeah, cool. Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me. You know, I have a bit of an agenda for today, as you can see on the presentation here. So, you know, the first thing I want to talk about is just tell you just a little bit more about me, who I am and what it is that my company does. And then I really want to launch into, you know, how you as artists can use social media to not only promote yourself, but to promote your artwork and to promote your businesses. So we'll cover, you know, what does the social media landscape look like right now in 2013? We'll cover, you know, okay, out of the landscape, what are the best social media outlets for you as artists? And then the next thing we'll discuss is, okay, on these social media outlets, how do I go about promoting my art and my business? Then we'll talk about establishing yourself as a thought leader on social media and how thought leadership relates to the sales cycle. Then we'll talk about SEO, search engine optimization, and how that relates to social media. We'll talk about social media etiquette. We'll also talk about how social media fits into your other marketing initiatives. So I'm sure that many of you, if not all of you, have a website. Maybe you do email marketing. Maybe you do live events and conferences. So we'll talk about that. And then finally, we'll talk about, you know, out of all of your social media efforts and all of your campaigns, how are you measuring success? And what are the tools that are currently out there to measure success? So first and foremost, just going into a little bit more about me and my business. So I'm the original founder, obviously, behind Social Katy, and started the business about almost 3 years ago now. And essentially what we are is we are a full-service social media marketing agency. So we build and manage online communities for brands or for artists. So that's anything from create content across all of your social media profiles, like Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, blog. We also design and develop Facebook applications, as well as manage all of your advertising for you. So if you do Google AdWords or Facebook advertising or Twitter or LinkedIn advertising, we handle that for you as well. And we also do something that we like to call social PR. So, you know, getting you or getting other businesses featured in journals or magazines or blogs that are relevant to your industry. So that's us in a nutshell. So let's kind of deep dive then into social media and, you know, understanding, okay, what does the social media landscape look like today in 2013? So here's a really cool graph that I actually got from a really nice website, fredcavaza.net. And this kind of shows you, you know, what does social media look like today? So there seems to be this misunderstanding with brands that when people think of social media, they think of Facebook, they think of Twitter, they think of maybe Google Plus, and they think of blogs. But actually, there's a plethora of other social media outlets out there that you guys can take advantage of. So there's LinkedIn, there's Pinterest, there's Vimeo, there's YouTube. You know, if you want to share visuals of your artwork, there's Foursquare. You know, if any of you have galleries or if you go to, you know, openings or events, you can check into Foursquare and you can see other people, whether they be fellow artists or whether they be art collectors, you can see them checking in on their mobile devices into your galleries. There's different types of blogs out there. There's Blogger, there's Tumblr, which I highly recommend for you as artists. There's WordPress, there's Quora, you know, there's also buying sites. So you'll see here, you know, there's TripAdvisor and there's Polyvore, but for you guys, you know, there's Behance, there's DeviantArt, there's Dribbble. So again, there's so many other social media outlets out there other than Facebook and Twitter that you guys can take advantage of and really showcase your art and build up a following. So then, before you get started on social media, I think it's really important to take a step back and ask yourself a few questions. So first and foremost, you should be asking yourself, who is my target audience? Who am I trying to reach on social media? Am I trying to reach art collectors? Am I trying to spark up conversations with other artists? Am I trying to get in front of editors of magazines or influential bloggers or people within the industry and I want to be featured on their publications? Who am I trying to reach? Where do these people, my target audience, where do they hang out online? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Twitter? Are they on Pinterest? Are they on DeviantArt? Are they on Flickr? Where are they? And how can I reach them through these mediums? The third thing is, how are my target audience interacting on these platforms? Do they participate in surveys? Do they answer questionnaires? Do they ask a lot of questions? You know, whenever you post visuals on Facebook or on Pinterest, are they engaging with your visuals? How do they interact? Do they talk to you? Do they talk to other art collectors? Do artists talk to other artists? The next question is, what is it that I am trying to accomplish on these social media outlets? What are my short-term goals and what are my long-term goals? Are you trying to get people to come to your new show where you're featuring new artwork? Are you trying to tell people more about, you know, your story and why you became an artist and why you're different from other artists? You know, are you trying to promote a certain type of art, whether it's pop art or fine art? You know, what is it? What are your goals? What is it that you are trying to get out? What type of value are you trying to extract from Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and blogs and all of these other social media outlets? The next question, which is an important one, is, okay, who are my competitors? Who do I really look up to in this space? And what types of content do they publish online? Do they talk a lot about their personal stories? Do they post a lot of their new artwork? You know, do they post videos of themselves? What is it that they publish online? And how can you take advantage of them doing an amazing job or them not doing a great job so that you can take advantage of that? The next question is, and we touched upon this very briefly, is how am I measuring success? What tools should I be using to monitor success? So again, as I said before, many of you probably already have websites, and attached to your website, you probably already have Google Analytics, where you can see where your traffic is coming from and how much of your traffic is coming from Facebook, maybe it's coming from search engines, maybe it's coming from your blog, but what other tools are you using? And we'll go into that into a little bit more detail later. And then the final question is, you know, who is managing your social media strategy? Is it you personally that's doing all of this work? Are you hiring an outside person to do it? Is it maybe someone who works at one of your galleries? Is it a close friend that has, you know, knowledge of the social media space? It's a very important question because as you start to get bigger and as you start to build a community and an audience on social media, you need to be able to allot time to be able to talk to your community. You know, in the beginning, many artists maybe spend, 20, 30 minutes a day on their social media outlets promoting content. But as you get bigger, it might involve a few hours a day. So you need to think, am I the person that's going to be taking over all of my social media outlets? Or is it going to be someone else? Are you going to hire a third-party agency or someone else to manage that for you on your behalf? So then, okay, out of everything you've just learned about the landscape, which channels are right for you as an artist? So I've kind of broken it down into 3 sections, as you can see below in the graph. The first section is, okay, well, I want to showcase my artwork. Which are the best channels to do that? I recommend Facebook, blog. Again, I think Tumblr is the best channel for you because Tumblr is the most visual channel. Pinterest and Instagram. You can also use sites, and I'm sure you're well aware of them, like DeviantArt, or again, Behance or Dribbble, or even Etsy. These are other great platforms where you can sell your artwork directly. The next graph would be to network with people. So where do I go on social media to create relationships with people? So I recommend for this, Twitter, LinkedIn and LinkedIn groups, Google Plus and Google Plus communities, and Facebook. And then the third, which is very important, is how do I position myself as a thought leader? What social media channels do I need to use to, talk about my domain expertise, to talk about my knowledge and my passion for art? And so I recommend blogs. I recommend forums. So Quora is a great forum to use, or even other forums in the art space. You can use hashtags, which is basically the # on Twitter, followed by a keyword. And there's 2 types of hashtags. The first type is a keyword. The second type of hashtag is a Twitter chat. And usually a Twitter chat is a reoccurring chat that happens once a week. So for example, right now you might go on Twitter and you might see that every Monday night there might be a Twitter chat called Art Mondays, where people from all over the art community, all over the United States, they gather and they talk about art on that particular day. So I think it's really important to go on Google and research what are the best Twitter chats and the best Twitter hashtags for the art community. And then finally, Google Plus and Google Plus communities. So then what role then does social media play in promoting me and my business? So as you can see in the chart below, I've broken down some of the best tactics that you can use on these social media outlets that I mentioned on the last slide, the best social media outlets for you, which again, I'll reiterate are Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest and Instagram, blog, as well as Google Plus. And you don't, and I know this might seem overwhelming, you don't have to launch all of these at once. I recommend get yourself started on 2 or 3. If it was me, I would get myself started on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and blog. So then breaking these down one by one, so if we look at Facebook, the best tactics on Facebook would be to promote your artwork on the wall and tell the story behind each piece of art. So I recommend promoting on Facebook once a day, 1 post a day. And so something else you can do on Facebook is create a Facebook tab. So if you have a Facebook page set up already for you in your business, you'll notice that on the right-hand side of your Facebook page, there are default Facebook tabs. You'll notice there's a likes tab, there's a photos tab, there's a videos tab, and many times there's also an events tab. So what you can do is you can create a custom tab where you can feature your own artwork. And within this tab, what you can do is that you can include a sign-up feature where you can ask people to enter their name or their zip code or their email address to contact you directly and find out more about your artwork. Now, the best tool to use to create your own Facebook tab is a website called woobox.com. That's woobox.com, woobox.com. And there's a feature on there that, again, allows you to build your own Facebook tab so that you can start collecting all of this information, such as names and email addresses, about people that are interested in your artwork. The second channel that you can use is Twitter. So the best way to use Twitter is to not only promote your artwork and include a URL so that you're redirecting people back to your website to find out more about your artwork, but you can also talk to people on Twitter. So I highly recommend that the first thing that you do on Twitter is find out who are the major art collectors on Twitter and who are the editors of magazines or journals or publications that you want to get in front of. The best website to find out who these influencers are on Twitter is a website called Listorious.com. And that's spelled Listorious.com, Listorious.com. And what it does is basically there's a search feature on Listorious.com that allows you to find out who are the main leaders in the art industry and who are the main art collectors. And you can follow them immediately. You can basically sync up your Twitter credentials with Listorious, and you can start following people. And so once you start following people, that's when you can start interacting with art collectors and with influencers within the art industry. So whereas Facebook is more about connecting with the masses, Twitter is more about having one-on-one conversations with people. So that's Twitter. The next outlet that I've recommended is LinkedIn, and many of you are probably already on LinkedIn. But I'd say that the best things to do on this channel are three things. The first thing is making sure that your profile is up to date. So including your website, including your artwork, including more about you as an artist, more about your background, your expertise, your thought leadership. Include all of these things. Build up your LinkedIn profile as much as you can. The second thing that I would recommend on LinkedIn is joining LinkedIn groups. So if you go on Google and you type in LinkedIn groups, you'll see that you can join groups based on your industry. So I would basically find out, okay, what are the major art groups where artists or art collectors or, editors of art publications, what groups have they joined on LinkedIn, and how can I join those groups, and how can I be a part of those conversations? So maybe start out tonight or even, later this week, maybe just join 5 groups. Make it a mission to join 5 LinkedIn groups and start participating with people that are within these groups. The third thing that I would recommend on LinkedIn is building up your recommendations. So this is a fairly new feature on LinkedIn, is recommendations. It's only been around for about a year and a half. And so what it does is you can basically reach out to art collectors or your friends or your family or people that really, love you as an artist and love your work, and you can ask them to write a recommendation, aka a review about you on LinkedIn. And basically what you want is you want to have as many recommendations as possible on your LinkedIn profile. Because, for example, if I'm an art collector, which I am, if I'm an art collector and I'm looking on LinkedIn and I'm surfing around to see who the top people, the art collectors are on LinkedIn, and I go to your profile, I want to learn as much about you as possible. I want to learn more about your art. I want to learn more about you as a person and your background. I want to know more about your expertise. And I definitely want to know what other people within your industry or other art collectors are saying about you. The next outlet that I would join would be Pinterest and or Instagram. Now, if you haven't heard of Pinterest or Instagram, or maybe you've just slightly dabbled in it, what Pinterest and Instagram are is they are basically visual storyboards. So what you can do is you can basically go on Pinterest, log in, and create boards and create pins relating to your artwork. And whenever you pin pieces of your artwork on Pinterest, when somebody sees your art and they click on your art should redirect back to your website so that people can make a purchase. Something that I highly recommend doing on Pinterest is mentioning the prices of your art. Because what happens is Pinterest combs through your artwork and sees that there are price tag associated, and they include it within the gift section on Pinterest. So if I'm on Pinterest right now and I want to buy a gift for someone, I can go to pinterest.com/gift, and I can see all items on Pinterest right now that are for sale that I can purchase. So I'd highly recommend including all of the prices on your artwork on Pinterest. I would include all of your URLs, so all of the links that lead back to your website so that people can instantly buy your artwork. And I would also make sure that all of your artwork is as keyword heavy as possible. So what does that mean? So let's just say I'm an artist and I'm on Pinterest and I specialize in pop art. And I get a lot of my inspiration from Andy Warhol and Roy Lichtenstein. Well, what I would do is I would make sure that all of my pins on Pinterest or all of my images on Instagram mention that I am an expert in pop art. So I would say, this piece is titled X, Y, and Z. I created this piece of artwork. I'm inspired by pop art, and I'm inspired by Andy Warhol and other people who, were influencers during this period when pop art was big. And so what that does is, if I'm an art collector and I'm on Pinterest or I'm on Instagram and I'm using Pinterest search feature to find out, what are the best pieces of pop art. If I type in pop art, Andy Warhol, Roy Lichtenstein, and I press enter, what happens is your artwork gets picked up first. So your artwork is the first piece of artwork I see because you have tagged that artwork with keywords. The next platform that I highly recommend is blog. And for you, again, I highly recommend using Tumblr. And blogs are great because blogs have tremendous SEO value. SEO meaning search engine optimization. So the more keyword heavy that you make your blog post, so again, if I'm an artist and I specialize in pop art and I get inspiration from Andy Warhol and all these other, artists within that era, I want to make sure that those keywords that I associate with me and my personal brand and my gallery, I want to make sure that my blog posts are riddled with those keywords. Because if an art collector is on Google or Bing or Yahoo and they are searching for pop art, they will see my blog posts pop up immediately on search engines, which is incredibly valuable for you guys to get discovered. So as far as types of blog content, there's a lot of different things that you can talk about. First of all, on blogs, you can showcase your art. Second of all, you can talk about the inspiration behind the art. So tell a story. Maybe if you, are a specialist in certain photography, you can talk about how the location inspired you. So if you take pictures of bridges or gardens or parks, your blog post should reflect, this is why I take these pictures of bridges. Here's where I get the inspiration from. Here's more about my background. Here's, maybe where I got my degree. Here's where I studied art. You can talk about all these things about your background. You can promote videos. So let's just say you love to sit in front of the camera and you love to talk about you and your background and your inspiration and your art and kind of talk people through the pieces. This is important because fans and art collectors want to be able to relate to you as artists. And what better way to do that than them seeing your face and then seeing you sit in front of a camera, promote your artwork. If you ever do promotions on your artwork, if you ever have, show openings, if you ever want to talk about, your art galleries and where your gallery is located, this is all phenomenal blog content that you can push on Tumblr and get out there and spread awareness about your brand. And then finally, but last but not least, there's Google Plus. Now, I think that many people, overlook Google Plus because it's a slightly new network. It's only been around for about a year and a half. People seem to think that there's not that many artists on Google Plus, but there's a lot of ways that you can take advantage of this network. So I would say that there are three main ways. So the first way is when you build your Google Plus profile, you'll notice that you can segment people into Google Plus circles. So what that means is you can say, okay, I want a circle that has only editors of, art magazines. Or I want a circle that's only my friends and family. Or I want a circle that is only, art collectors or only artists that I maybe, look up to. And so what you can do on Google Plus is whenever you promote content like you would do on a Facebook wall, you can basically decide which circle that content goes to. So if you only want to promote content to your friends and family, you can do so. If you only want to promote certain content to your fans or to other art collectors, you can do so by reaching those circles where those people are present. So the second way that you can take advantage of Google Plus is by launching a Hangout. So what a Hangout is it's essentially this, what I'm doing right now. It's essentially a webinar where if I'm an artist, I can invite my fans and I can invite my family and I can invite editors of magazines to watch me speak. And maybe I can hold up my art and kind of talk people through my art and why it's unique and important and why it's special to me and why art collectors should buy it. So it's essentially just having a video conference with your target audience. That's what a Hangout is. And then the third way that you can take advantage of Google Plus is by joining Google Plus communities. Now, Google Plus communities are almost identical to LinkedIn groups. So you can search, okay, what are the main communities where art collectors hang out, or where influencers or bloggers within the art community hang out? What do they talk about? Are there certain themes that these, Google Plus communities have? Do they only talk about pop art? Do they only talk about, fine art? So find out, where's your target audience present on Google Plus communities and how can you be a part of those conversations? So then this is important. So how do I position myself as an artist? How do I position myself as a thought leader? How do I really get recognized on social media? So here's how you do it. So there are 6 main steps. Listen, research, create content, distribute that content, participate in network, and repeat. So basically the first thing that you want to do is listen. So what this means is, and if you haven't done this already, I highly recommend you do so, is set up Google Alerts. If you have a Gmail account, you probably know what Google Alerts is. And basically what it is it's a way for you to enter your name or enter keywords that you associate with your brand, or enter your gallery name, or enter, pop art or fine art, or again, any sort of terms that you associate with you and your brand. And what happens is every single day in your Gmail account, you get pinged an email from Google of what people are saying about you across the social web. So right now, for example, I have a Google alert set up for Katy Lynch, Social Katy, and Social Media Marketing Chicago, so that I can see, okay, across the social web, what are people saying about me? What are people saying about my business? When people think of Social Katy, what's kind of the general perception out there about my business? If it's positive, awesome. If it's negative, I can find out who is saying what about me and my business, and I can go and I can respond to people that may have, negative sentiments about me and my company. So you can do the same thing about you and your art. You can see people in real time what they are saying about you and your brand. The second thing that I recommend is after you've set up your Google Alert is by doing research. And so research could be using Listorious to find out, again, who are the influencers or who are the thought leaders within the industry or who are the leading art collectors in the United States. So one site, again, is Listorious. Another site that I like to use is called topsy.com, and that's topsy.com. Doing research on, industry trends. So what art trends are there right now for 2013? So, use Google to find out what are people talking about within the art world. Are they talking about pop art? Are they talking about fine art? What's like the big thing that everyone's talking about right now? And how can you as an artist be a part of that conversation? How can you take advantage of these real-time trends that are happening on the social web right now? And then the third way that you do research is finding out what are the other niche social media outlets that are out there. So I mentioned a number to you. I mentioned DeviantArt, I mentioned Behance, I mentioned Instagram and Pinterest. But the social web is constantly evolving. There's always new social media platforms that are coming out. So it's your job as artists to research that. And I would say once or twice a month, you should be researching where do art collectors hang out online? Other than Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and blogs, where else do they hang out? And how can you instantly sign up for a profile on these accounts and share your artwork and become a part of these networks before they become huge? Once you've done your research and set up the Google Alerts, the next thing you want to do is create content. And again, content could be, I always like to create content and separate everything into buckets. So there's different types of content buckets. The first type are visuals. So infographics, photos, videos. The second type could be surveys or questionnaires or polls. That's another bucket of content. The next type of content could be blog posts. So it could be interviews. It could be industry trends. It could be more about you and your background or you as an artist. It could be more about your art gallery. It could be more about events or conferences or trade shows or, art exhibits that you attend in Chicago or around the Midwest or around the USA. These are all different types of content that you can use and you can promote on social media, which brings me to my next step, is distributing that content. So once you've written blog posts and once you have videos and once you have visuals of your artwork, you want to distribute that content across Facebook and Twitter and blog, but you also want to distribute that content on sites like StumbleUpon and sites like Reddit. And so what those sites are is they are basically news discovery sites. So whenever you write a blog post or whenever you post a piece of artwork, you can go to StumbleUpon and you can submit that piece of artwork to StumbleUpon so that it gets noticed by other art collectors. And there's a really cool feature on StumbleUpon that allows you to tag your posts, tag them with keywords. So art, pop art, fine art, artist, art gallery. Tag that your art as much as possible so that other art collectors can see your work. After you've distributed this content, the next thing that you want to do is participate in networks. So what does that mean? Well, it's all very well taking your content and pushing it out there, right? On Facebook or Twitter or blog. You have all this content, you've distributed it, great. But, social media is not just about promoting your own content. It's about engaging with people. It's about starting conversations. And a great way to do that is through Twitter and through Facebook and through LinkedIn groups and through Google Plus communities. Being a part of the conversation, answering people's questions, or even asking questions, starting that conversation. Something that I like to do is, launch your own hashtag, launch your own Twitter chat, where you say, okay, every Tuesday, I'm going to launch a Twitter chat called Art Tuesdays. And I'm going to launch it every, Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central Time. And I'm going to get artists and I'm going to get art collectors to be really excited about Art Tuesdays. And then you can have these reoccurring discussions and, you know, hopefully promote your artwork and get people to buy your artwork just by launching this Twitter hashtag or this Twitter chat every week. And then you'll see that, you know, this is something where you don't just do it once and then you stop. This is something that you repeat over and over and over. So you want to keep listening, you want to keep researching your industry and trends, you want to create content, distribute the content, participate with people, and you want to do this over and over and over. And that is how you build up thought leadership. Now, how does this thought leadership relate to sales, artwork sales? And I'll tell you right now. So here's you, right here. And you've created your social media profiles, you're writing compelling content, you're sharing your artwork on Pinterest and Instagram and all these other social media outlets, and you've positioned yourself, again, as the domain expert. Great. So then what happens is this content gets distributed. So it gets distributed on social media, it's distributed on your website, maybe it's, you know, being shared via email marketing. And then what happens is all of this content that's being distributed gets picked up by search engines, which I've talked about before, like Google and Bing and Yahoo are all search engines. So art collectors that are looking for certain types of art, so they're on Google, they're typing in, I'm looking for pop art, I'm looking for pop art in Chicago. And what happens is your content is going to get picked up and people are going to immediately see it. And so then the more that your content gets found by art collectors, the more that art collectors are going to share your content. So they'll say, you know, maybe they'll see a piece of art on Pinterest and they'll say, oh, I love that piece of art. And then they repin it onto their boards, or they, you know, comment, or they share your artwork, you know, to their friends and family on Facebook. So that's how you increase virality on the web, is by having people love your artwork because they see it, and then they share it to their friends and family and their network, and then it gets shared. And then the more that people do this, and the more people learn about you and your brand and your artwork and your story, and they're reading your recommendations on LinkedIn, you know, and they see all this content about you, the more likely they are going to trust you and that they are going to come back to your website and make a purchase. They are going to contact you for more information about your pieces. So that's how it relates to sales. So let's talk again, you know, briefly about social media and SEO and how do people find you online. So SEO, as you're probably well aware, stands for search engine optimization. So it's the process of getting traffic from the free, organic, editorial, or natural listings on search engines like Google and Bing and Yahoo, which we've discussed before. So how can you use social media to become more findable? Because think about it this way, right? You're one artist, and maybe you have a gallery, or maybe you promote all of your art online. But there's thousands of other artists out there. So how do you set yourself apart? How do you really become more findable and more searchable on the social web? So again, the first thing you want to do is think about how you'd like to be found online. So maybe tonight, write down a few keywords that you really associate with yourself and with your brand and your galleries or your website. Create robust, original, and keyword-heavy content. We've talked about this before. The more keyword-rich and original that you make your content, the more likely that you will be found on these search engines. And that doesn't even just go for blog content. I'm talking about your tweets, I'm talking about your Facebook posts, I'm talking about even your social media profiles. So even if you're on LinkedIn right now, look through your profile. You know, do you have keywords in there that you associate with you and your brand? And if not, I would make sure to beef up your profiles as much as possible because, again, your LinkedIn profile is searchable on search engines. So people might be able to find your LinkedIn profile just from Googling you or just from researching you on Yahoo. You know, what are people actually looking for online and how can you help them? Do your research on smaller, lesser-known social media outlets where niche audiences are present. Again, I've mentioned this before. Yes, there's Twitter, yes, there's Facebook, yes, there's blogs, but sometimes the problem with these outlets is, they are oversaturated. There are a lot of artists using these social media channels already. So do your research a couple times a month to see what are the other channels that are out there for art collectors and how can I be a part of these channels. And then last but not least, utilizing PR web for press release distribution. So let's just say, you have a new show opening or a new gallery, or you want to promote your new artwork that's maybe being featured at the beginning of August in downtown Chicago. Well, you might want to send out a press release. And what you can do is you can use PR web to send out that press release. And again, the more keyword heavy that you make that press release, the more likely that people on search engines are going to see it. Now, the cool thing about these press releases is you can add visuals to PR web press releases. And it's interesting because press releases that contain, visuals or they contain videos are 3 times more likely to be discovered than a press release that goes out without any artwork at all. So think about that. The next time you send out a press release, always include images and always include links back to all of your social media profiles. So include a link to your Facebook, your Twitter, your Pinterest, your blog. Include all of this in the press release. So if people want to find out more or join your online communities, you're giving them a way and a reason to do so. So then let's talk really briefly about social media etiquette, because there's certain, unspoken rules.
Katy, let me interrupt you a second.
Yeah.
How far are we into this? Because I'm concerned about the time. I think you're absolutely fabulous and amazing.
Yeah.
But we want to take some questions. Are we getting close to the end, or are we less than halfway?
Yes, we are basically about 3 slides away.
Okay. Because I was thinking about maybe we should have you come back. But no, I think we can do this. Keep going.
Yeah, sure. So social media etiquette. So just to go over these, some of these may seem really self-explanatory, but I think it's, worth mentioning. So always be mindful of the tone of your posts. Always keep your target audience in mind. Be proactive. Don't just post your artwork up there on all your social media outlets and expect people to come to you. Be proactive. Again, join LinkedIn groups, join community, Google Plus communities. Talk to people on Twitter. Make sure that you're asking questions instead of just sitting around and waiting for people to talk to you. Be personable. Interact with your fans through comments and likes. Maybe even support other artists. Comment on their artwork. Because you know what? When you go out there and you comment on what other artists are doing and you're a part of the community, chances are they're going to like your artwork and they're going to spread the good word about you as well. Leverage your network. Ask for recommendations from people that know you well. Use clear and recent and professional photos of yourself across all of your social media outlets. Be consistent. The 4 most powerful words in social media are thank you and I'm sorry. If you've made a mistake, fess up. If someone has congratulated you on your work or says that they love what you're doing, always be appreciative of that. Always say thank you and acknowledge that they've left a comment about you and your art. And then as far as the don'ts, obviously never swear at your fans. Never delete negative comments. If somebody ever writes something negative about you or your art, you need to address the situation instead of deleting the comment. Don't overshare your art. Maybe limit your posts on Facebook or Twitter to once or twice a day. You don't want to oversaturate your social media outlets. Don't tag multiple users in your posts. So if you promote a piece of artwork, don't go tagging people on Facebook with your art. Let them come to you. Don't spam your users with too much self-promotional content. Again, don't hijack hashtags to get your message across. Don't utilize hashtag and promote your artwork and then run away. People don't like that. If you're going to use hashtags, make sure that they are relevant and that it sticks within the art industry. And last and not least, don't mass follow users on Twitter. Don't say to yourself, okay, today I'm going to follow 5,000 people and just keep adding them and spamming them with all of your artwork. People can smell a rat from a mile away. Make sure that, when you follow people, explain why you've connected with them. Or, if someone follows you and they're influential with the art community, make sure you follow them back and thank them for following you. So that's just basic manners, basic etiquette on social media. So then how do I tie social media into my other marketing initiatives? So let's talk about email marketing. So the first thing that you should do, go into your emails that you send right now and make sure that all of your social media icons are included within your business email signature. Here's an example above of one of Social Katy's brand managers. As you can see, she's included her Facebook, her Twitter, her LinkedIn, Pinterest, Instagram, and blog. You should be doing the same in your email signature. The second thing is, add an email opt-in button within your Facebook page. Again, I recommended Woobox.com. It's really easy to set up. It's just a Facebook tab that sits on your Facebook page that collects names and zip codes and emails about people who are interested in learning more about your artwork. After someone has purchased a piece of your artwork online, make sure that you follow up via email and say, thank you so much for buying a piece of my artwork. If you liked this piece, you might also like this piece. And start sharing more types of your art with people who have purchased from you online. And then something that you might want to consider as you build up more of a following and a community on social media is maybe you should think about sending monthly or quarterly newsletters to your fans, updating them about your artwork, updating them about shows that you'll be featured in and around Chicago. So live events, something that you should do is always promote events before you attend them on Twitter and Facebook and your blog. It might be worth finding out, okay, if I'm going to this event in mid-August, who else is going to the same event as me? So find out on Twitter who are the other art collectors or who are other artists that are going to be at the conferences that you're going to be at. Spark up conversation with them in advance so that by the time you're at the art show or the exhibit, you can, schedule a time to meet them in person. Something else that's really beneficial is if you have your own art gallery, create a Foursquare account so that people who are coming to your gallery can check in on their mobile devices and you can see exactly how many people have checked in. And you can see their name, you can see their Twitter account, and you can see their email address. So that, again, you can email them after the show, or you can tweet at them after the show or after the event. And then here's something that's really important if you haven't done it already. So integrating social media into your website. So make sure that you have sharing plugins on your site. So for example, if you go to your website right now and you have all of your artwork, make sure that next to all of your pieces of artwork, make sure that there's a Facebook share button, a Twitter share button, a Pinterest, an Instagram, so that people can instantly look at your artwork and share it to their friends and family across their social media outlets. Also, on your website, you should also include all of your social media icons. So if I go to one of your websites right now, I should be able to see your Facebook and your Twitter and your Pinterest so that people can join your online community and continue the discussion. So finally, and maybe most importantly, is how do you determine ROI? How do you analyze all of the metrics across all of your social media outlets? So I'm going to briefly talk about what we use at Social Katy. It's a phenomenal tool, and it's called sproutsocial.com, sproutsocial.com. And as you'll see right here, this is what their analytics dashboard looks like. So you can basically connect your Facebook account, your Twitter account, your LinkedIn, your blog, and your Google Plus account to Sprout Social. And what it does is every time you tweet, every time you Facebook, every time you write a blog post, it records, Sprout Social records how well you're doing. So you can see from this dashboard, it records everything from your audience demographic, you know, how many new followers you acquired, how many impressions you got, how many unique users you drove back to your website, how many social interactions you got, you know, what is the breakdown of the demographics? Do you, you know, get more participation from males or is it females? What age range are they in? You know, how much traffic is coming back to your website from Facebook or Twitter or Pinterest? So it's basically analyzing any social media action that you take using this dashboard. Sprite Social, it's a freemium service, so I think the first month is free, and then after the 30 days, I think it's only something like $10 or $15 a month to use. So I highly recommend that you sign up for the service and you connect all your social media profiles so that you can see how well your social media outlets are performing. And Paul, that really concludes the presentation.
I can't believe you did that whole thing without inhaling. That was absolutely amazing. Let me see if I can take back the hosting thing.
Yeah.
You were great. That was amazing. My first question is, and then you guys have questions too, I hope. That was a ton of information. A lot of that stuff I'm doing. A lot of it I think I should be doing.
Yeah.
Me personally, for my business. How do you charge mere mortals to do the kind of stuff you're talking about? You do this for people as a business, right?
Yes, we do.
And how do you charge people?
Yeah, so we have a number of different packages for our full service package, which is basically, you know, management of all of your social media profiles. Typically, the full service package for small businesses and artists, we charge $2,000 a month. Now, if you said to me, well, I don't want to do everything, I only want to do Facebook and Twitter, we can obviously do a custom package that would be a lot less monthly to just manage 1 or 2 channels.
Cool. All right. You guys have questions? Let's find out more stuff.
Yeah.
How much she charges. This is the opportunity to get the answer for sort of kind of like free. All right. Nobody has a question, right? I don't believe it. I heard it in. Tyler, go ahead, Tyler.
Hi, Tyler.
Hey, hold on, wait, I got to unmute you. There you go. Go ahead, Tyler.
Hi. Do you recommend having a personal Facebook page that's separate from your business Facebook page, or can you do it all at once?
You know what? That's a brilliant question.
Katie, repeat the question because it was breaking up for me, okay?
Yeah, sure. So the question was, do you recommend having personal social media profiles as an artist as well as profiles for your business pages? So here's what I recommend. You know, if you have the time as an artist to beef up your own pages as well as have your business pages, yes. So if you're using social media to talk more about your story and your background and where you get your inspiration, then yes, I highly recommend you separating your social media campaign into 2 parts. So having your own artist pages and then having your business pages. Now, if you don't have time and you want to incorporate it all into one, I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that. You know, if it was me personally, I think it's great to keep it separate just because, you know, there are certain outlets, social media outlets that are more geared towards just artists talking to each other. For example, Quora. Quora is a Q&A forum where artists just talk to each other and they don't promote their businesses at all. So I would highly recommend just setting up your social media profiles for just you as a person. But then obviously there's other social media outlets like Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and blogs that would be, you know, more well designed for, you know, your business content.
Cool. Thank you, Tyler. Pamela, go ahead.
Hey, Katie.
Hi.
Okay. Thank you so much. That was a ton of information, and I took a bunch of notes.
Good.
I have my iPad right next to me, and I just kept typing in all the websites you said. But last one was Sprout Social.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before. I'm assuming you use that for yourself. And I'm wondering, like, what do you primarily get out of it? What does it do for you? Like, can you give me an example of how it's important to your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say, you know, okay, so let's just take social cases, for example. It's important for me because I like to split ROI into two parts. So the first part of social media ROI is measuring all of the different actions that people take on social media, right? So that's
Katie, define ROI for those who are.
Oh yeah, sorry. So ROI would be the return on investment. So if you put, you know, an hour or 2 hours into social media a day, what is the return on investment? How are you bringing people back to your website to buy your art? So I like to split social media ROI into two parts. The first part is social media action. So that's a like, a share, a retweet, a repin, you know, a comment. You know, anyone who's taking any sort of action about your content, that is a social action. The second type of ROI is actually driving people from social media back to your website to purchase a piece of your artwork. So now Sprout Social, as you'll see, if you can still see the analytics dashboard right here, this measures all of your social media actions. So for me in my business, this is important because I can see, okay, the majority of people who are interacting with my content and looking at my content and coming back to my website to see what I offer are females. It is 82% female between the ages of 34 and 55. And see, this is important because knowing this, I can gear my content more towards the female crowd because I know that they are the ones who are most interested in my services. So this is interesting, right? Because you as an artist, let's just say that you were very well versed and very well experienced in pop art, and you were promoting all of this content about pop art, you know, pop art trends, your artwork, you know, people that you get inspiration from, you know, other artists. And so every single thing that you do on social media is recorded on Sprout Social. So you'd be able to see, oh, you know, the majority of people that read my content was on Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. And the majority of people that saw my content were maybe males, and they were males that were aged 24 to 50. So again, it's good to know this information because now any content that you promote on social media, you can gear towards that crowd. Why waste your time promoting content at 9 p.m. at night when you know from the dashboard that everybody reads your content between 9 a.m. and 12 p.m.?
That's awesome.
So it is absolutely awesome. And honestly, if you're not measuring your results on social media, then you probably shouldn't even bother on Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and all these other platforms because you need to be able to measure results. Because how do you know what type of content people want to read if you are not measuring how well your content is doing across all of these social media outlets?
Okay, that's really helpful.
Yeah, and again, Sprout Social is not expensive. I really think it's around, you know, $15 or $20 a month, and you get all of these different analytics that you can use to your benefit.
Okay.
Wonderful. I think we've got like under 5 minutes left. Herb, be quick. Go ahead, Herb.
Hi, Herb.
Hi. Thank you very much. Yes. Am I coming through?
Yep,
Yeah.
Okay. A question regarding cost. If I have two target audiences that I'm particularly interested in reaching just to try and test the water for this idea that you have been presenting, how much would something like that be?
So for, well, I mean, as far as, so you're targeting two different types of audiences. Can you maybe expand just a little bit on who they are?
Yeah, like architects, let's say, the world of architecture.
Okay.
And the world of fairs.
Okay. So here's what I would recommend. I mean, for our pricing model for that full service package, it would still be $2,000 a month. But something that I would recommend, and it's the only service that is not included within our monthly retainer, is the cost of Facebook advertising. So if you wanted to target two different types of audiences, Facebook ads, is the best way to do that. Have you ever used a Facebook advertising platform before?
No.
Okay, well then you get excited, because the really cool thing about Facebook's advertising platform is you can target anyone based on anything. So if you said to me, I want to target all architects within the city of Chicago that are between these ages, that work at these firms and are a part of these organizations, you can do so via ads, and it's not expensive. For a cost for one click per ad, you can drive the cost down to about 7 or 8 cents a click, which is unbelievably cheap.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, no problem.
Mine costs more. Lila, did your question get answered, Lila?
No, I did not yet. Sorry. Oh, keywords. Hi, Katie. Keywords. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm great.
Good. I've developed 3 keywords that I put on my website, but I haven't used it anywhere near the detail that you have.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to assess the goodness of my keywords. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that, you know, the thing with social media is that in the beginning, it's very much trial and error. So if you say, okay, I have these, 3 keywords that I associate with my brand, I think the best thing for you to do is test out those keywords on social media. Test out them on Facebook, test them out on Twitter, test them out, via blog content, and see if they're getting a lot of traction. But before you even do that, Violet, in my honest opinion, I don't think that 3 keywords is enough. I think that you should probably come up with between 7 and 10 keywords that you associate with your brand. So I guess can I ask you, what are these 3 keywords that you associate with currently?
Oh, one is mixed material artist. The other is sculpture, and I don't know the third one. I'm sorry to say.
Oh no, that's fine. So do you have competitors? And if so, what are the keywords that your competitors use? Do you ever do research on that?
I haven't.
Okay. Yeah, so that might be a really good place to start, is finding out, okay, who are my main competitors, and take a look at what they're doing on social media and what they currently have on their website, and maybe, try to get some keywords from them. And maybe you can even see, how well is their social media content performing, and how can you, emulate what they're doing.
Okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. Lastly, somebody asked, and I'll ask it for them. Do you recommend a premium LinkedIn account, or is the basic free one good enough?
I recommend getting the premium. Absolutely.
What do you get with the premium you don't get with the basic?
So you basically get access to a person's full profile, and you basically get the ability to message them directly. Usually what happens with the free LinkedIn account is, let's just say I wanted to connect with someone. Well, usually people have that feature blocked on LinkedIn. So I wouldn't be able, for example, I wouldn't be able to message right now the CMO of Coca-Cola, because that person probably has their profile blocked. Whereas when you sign up for the free, the premium account, I can basically access, his messaging feature. I can see more advanced stuff on his profile. I can see also who he is connected to. So there's a lot of different features.
All right, let's stop. You have been totally, absolutely, brilliantly amazing.
Cool.
You have conveyed a ton of information. All of us will be going back and listening to the recording tonight and tomorrow. And I don't know, I'm really impressed with everything you shared. I think it was really great. I will be in touch.
So Paul, something that I'd like to do is I'd love to send over my presentation because I'm sure that there's things that people may have missed or wanted to write down. So I can send it to you and you can share it to all the lovely people within this webinar if you wish.
My total pleasure. I will be glad to do that.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Hold on. Let me unmute everybody. Everybody is now unmuted. Katie, thanks very much. You were great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Wonderful. Really wonderful.